Let's talk about how to move on after being ghosted. Welcome back, everyone. Today's topic is a bit of a sore subject for a lot of people because it's a really painful experience that I think we've all had. And unfortunately, ghosting in these days is just a normalized way of ending things. And it can be really hard to get over. It can be really hard. And then you feel pathetic and foolish for having a hard time getting over being ghosted because you probably barely even knew the guy. I mean, I do know situations where a guy ghosts after being in a long-term relationship. I feel like that's a bit more rare. Typically ghosting happens following, a few dates and everything was going really well. There was chemistry, you were vibing, and just as you were getting really excited about where things could go, he just ended it out of nowhere. Sometimes this could be after a few weeks, it could even be after a few months. It usually happens in cases where the relationship was not officially defined. But honestly, I mean, a guy could ghost you. Either you're married to could ghost you. And it's not just guys. I know that girls do this too. And I know that I have male listeners. So this applies to everyone because it hurts. It's really painful. So let's talk about why that is and how to get over it, how to detach, if you will, after being ghosted. The fact is, most of us are aware, at least on some level, that ghosting isn't about us. It's about them. It's about their fear of communicating, of hurting someone's feelings to their face or via text. It's about their emotional immaturity. We get all that, but at the same time, it's painful because it triggers deep old wounds. It's not about this person disappearing. It's not even about that person. I know that there's like the potential for something great, or so you think, but you never actually got there. You never really got to know them on a deep enough level to know if this is a real potential partner for you. Oftentimes it just happens way before that. And even if you did get to know them and you're like, oh, he's perfect for me, the fact that he ghosted you just shows that he's not, because you really cannot have a successful, healthy relationship with somebody who can't even communicate when like they're not happy with how things are going, or that you're not meeting their needs, or whatever his problem was that led him to ghost. I've been married for 10 years. You cannot be in a relationship with somebody who cannot communicate with you. It's not about them disappearing. It's about what their disappearance activates within you. It always comes down to that. It always comes down to you. And the people that hurt us, people that trigger us, what they're really doing is shining a light on areas where we need to grow, and on past hurts that are still living within us that need to be healed. Ghosting, for the most part, is so painful because it confirms a fear that we already had, a fear that we may not have realized was still there. When someone disappears without an explanation, it taps into deep-seated core wounds. It almost confirms our worst fears about ourselves. And for a lot of people, those fears sound like, I'm not good enough, I'm not lovable, I did something wrong, something is wrong with me, people always leave. If I was smarter, more attractive, more interesting, then they would have stayed. That's how we rationalize it. Maybe not even consciously. This could happen very much unconsciously. But the experience of being ghosted, it's pressing on that old wound that's in there. The ghoster is not the one that created the belief. The belief was already there. And when you have a belief that's already living within you, there's a mechanism called the reticular activating system, which basically you are going to hone in on any evidence that supports how you already feel, right? It's also like confirmation bias. So if you feel I'm unlovable, I'm unworthy, then anytime something doesn't go in a way that's favorable to you, like someone ghosting or getting rejected or not getting the job or whatever it is, you're always going to default back to that familiar belief, which is, I'm just not good enough. Okay. And I spent many years of my life living in that land. But here's the thing, ghosting, it's not about your worth. It's about their emotional immaturity, their unavailability, their avoidance. And beyond that, I have to say, it's just so normalized. And I'm not even talking about in the realm of dating. Right now in my life, obviously you guys know, if you don't know, you will know because I don't stop talking about it. I came out with a new book, right? And I'm doing a lot of press and promotion. And I mean, I've been reaching out to a lot of different podcasts. And you know what? I've decided to take a complete opposite approach as I did with my last book. With my last book, I acted like a meek little mouse. I didn't really promote myself. I was like, oh, let people discover it and then they'll come find me. This time I'm like, no, I created something brilliant that is helping so many people and will help so many people. And I want to spread the message far and wide. So I'm reaching out to some pretty big fish, right? Like that top tier elite. I mean, reaching out to people on all levels, right? But I'm like, why not go for it? And so many people of that caliber will either leave me on red, or this one was actually an unfortunate one. There's someone that I really, really admire. I followed her for a really long time. She actually used to follow me at one point, but then she stopped. I don't know. Maybe I did something to upset her. I don't know how that could be. Anyway, I know that like a collaboration between us on a podcast would be so beautiful, right? So I had emailed her or her team. I sent some pitches. I sent a little bit of an about me, and they didn't answer because, like, people who are in the millions of followers, they don't like associate with those of us in like the mere hundreds of thousands. I'm not exaggerating. That kind of is how it is in this like self-help world and the world of social media, but whatever. It is what it is. Anyway, then I followed up and I did get a response, and they were like, gosh, they were like, her calendar is just so full, but thank you for reaching out and it means so much and da da da. And I was like, I totally get it. Like, no problem at all. I would still love to send you a copy of my book, a free copy. I know she has so many young women on her team. You guys would really benefit from it. And they just didn't answer. They ghosted me, which just means like, you little peasant. Like we only interview celebrities here, not people like you, which is fine. Look, I'm really not offended. If anything, if there's anything I'm most proud of myself right now at this point in my life, is how resilient I have become in the face of rejection. It doesn't affect me at all. Whereas with my previous book, I was too scared to reach out to anybody because I was scared I wouldn't get a response and I wouldn't be able to handle it. Now I'm like, I really don't care. I'm just giving you that example. I don't mean to talk so much about it because that is just the common thing. I also do it too sometimes. Like my inbox gets over flooded. I get a lot of opportunities that aren't really necessarily right. And sometimes I'll reply and then they'll say something. I'm like, oh, this isn't right. And I don't even feel like rejecting this again. That's just what people do. And I'm not saying it's right. I'm not justifying it. It's not that nice. Because, like, it leaves you in this land. Some of these emails I've sent out, I'm like, well, maybe they didn't read it. Maybe it ended up in spam and you just don't know. But most of the time it's just no, they read it and the answer is just no, but they don't want to tell you the answer is no for whatever reason. So I think the reason is just that it's just become so normalized. We've all done this as a society because all of us are guilty in some capacity of ghosting. This has also happened to me with potential clients. I do discovery calls. Again, I don't get offended by these things. And I'll have a call with a prospective client and we're vibing and everything's going great. And she's like, I want to work with you. You're amazing. I'm like, great. I'll send you an email with like the next steps. Send an email. Don't hear anything. Send a follow-up. Don't hear anything. And this is a woman crying to me about like how guys ghost her and she's so upset. And I'm not offended. Like it happens. But again, I'm just pointing out that we're all contributing to the problem here. So you can't just get angry at like the one person who did it. We need to be mad at ourselves as a society for just allowing this to become the new okay thing, honestly. Okay, I'm done ranting about that. So here's the first thing you need to do. You need to reframe your thoughts. And anybody who works with me, if you're any of my clients listening, you guys know this. I love the word reframe. That is the word that I say probably more than anything else. Instead of asking, why wasn't I good enough for them? Ask, why was this person so emotionally unavailable that they decided to just vanish instead of communicate with me that they didn't think this relationship was working? That's really the answer. Or also, rather than why wasn't I good enough for them, why not shift to a perspective of, I am so grateful that this person got the clarity that we're not right for each other. Because eventually I would have gotten it too, because he's not my person. If he was my person, we would be together. So eventually, like that person would have gotten there too. You would have gotten there too, I mean. He just got there first. That's all that happened. Not everyone's a match. That's okay. Like if it was that easy, then okay. Like there wouldn't be 10,000 million, I don't even know how many relationship podcasts and books. Like it isn't that easy. It's not everybody could work with everybody else. Sometimes it's just not a match. The key here, and the way to take your power back is, come on, you know what I'm going to say. You have to detach. You have to detach. You have to stop making it all so personal. You have to stop making it mean something about you because it doesn't mean anything about you. And look, if you have flaws, which we all do, work on them. Okay, fine. Like it's not like the end of the world to realize maybe I was a little too needy. Maybe I was a little too anxious. Maybe I got a little too attached. That's fine. We are all works in progress, right? So that's okay. That's okay. The biggest mistake that most people make after being ghosted is just this refusal to let go, just getting so attached. It's the holding on. And then that's what makes us suffer. And then that's what causes you to build this person up in your mind to this like supreme being that you don't even know if he actually is that person or if you've just created a complete fantasy in your mind. So you're building them up. And then what happens is because you're building them up, you think they were just better than me. I just need to be better and prove myself to them. Maybe start a little campaign to try to win them back. Maybe you show up places you think they'll be. If this person is still in your network or your friend group, that's when it really, well, not in your friend group because he wouldn't have ghosted you if he was in your friend group. But if this is somebody kind of in your orbit, somewhere in your orbit, I mean, you might make the mistake that I did with Kevin the Damage Case. We have another episode on him. I think the episode is called If You Want to Listen. I think it's a must listen for this podcast. If he's not choosing you, don't try to convince him otherwise. Yes, I think that is our Kevin the Damage Case episode. You make it your mission to get chosen, and then you just get yourself even further on the line. You're more on the line. You're more invested. Okay, you have to detach. You have to notice when you're obsessing over him, thinking about him, when you're still feeding into that fantasy of who you think he was or who you wanted him to be, into the fantasy of what the relationship could have been, if only he hadn't ghosted you, like how great everything could have been. You have to notice when you're doing that and you have to stop. You have to stop. You have to notice. You have to catch yourself and you have to reroute. Now, about detachment, it's not about pretending you don't care. It's about accepting reality. So the guy ghosts you. The reality is, okay, this is not my person. He doesn't want to be with me. And it's about reclaiming your energy. I'm not going to pour more energy into something that clearly is not for me. Okay, so because I can't help myself, I'm going to read you guys an excerpt from this book because a big reason why it hurts so much when someone ghosts is because we build them up in our minds. We make them out to be some sort of representation of something. And we think that being chosen by them will say something about us. And we're not seeing dating for what it actually is. So I want to read you this little section from the section on how to detach from like a situationship or early relationship. I also have a section on how to detach after a breakup from a long-term relationship. Let's make something clear. Dating is not the beginning of a relationship. Dating is the process of discovering whether you even want one. Too many of us treat every promising new connection like a final rose ceremony. You go on one great date, feel the spark, and suddenly you're mentally planning the wedding. You build a story in your head before you even know who this person really is. But dating is not a love story. It's not a fairy tale. To take the romance right out of it, it's an interview. You are being interviewed and interviewing for the role of life partner. And it's not always a match. This isn't a measure of your worth or value. It's not a sign of whether you're good enough to be chosen. It's merely a discovery process. You are discovering if they align with your values, your energy, your vision, if they're emotionally available, if they're even capable of showing up for you long term. This person will be your partner, the person you do life with. And life is long and hard. It's a big decision, and you want to make sure you're focusing on the right things. You can't know someone after a few texts and 2 espresso martinis. You need to see how they act when things don't go perfectly, when you have a need that is in conflict with what they need. It's like me telling you I'm the perfect mother. Did you know that about me? I'm the perfect mom. When my kids are behaving and everyone is happy and listening and getting along, I'm the best. But sadly, that's not the reality all the time. What does it look like when everyone is screaming and no one is listening? That is the reality of how I am as a mother. It's about how I cope when times are tough. Do I lose it, or am I able to regulate and stay calm through the chaos? It's a mix of both. You can't judge a relationship or a connection based on how things were when everything was great, when you were both on your best behavior, when you were in a happy early stage of dating in a bubble bliss. What happens when things go awry? When you say no? When you have your first argument? When they're tired or busy or stressed? Anyone can show up charming in the first few rounds, but dating is about paying attention to the in between moments because that's where real character lives. I can't decide if I should keep going or not. Okay, I think I'm going to stop here. The next part is about the danger of rushing it, which is okay. That is the problem so much of the time. We just get too attached. We invest too soon in someone before we even know if they're worth investing in. Okay. So now let's shift and let's talk about some practical steps to detach from someone who ghosted you. Number one, accept that you won't get closure from them. So give it to yourself. Ghosters rarely come back with a satisfying explanation and an apology that wraps everything up in a pretty little bow. And even if they do, it won't change what happened. And it also probably won't make you feel any better about yourself. I know that like you can hold on to that hope, but it's really not going to do much for you. It's a rejection either way. Like, do we really need to know why? You don't need their explanation to move on. Closure means it's closed, it means it's done, it means it's finished. And that's something that you can give yourself. You don't need this person to give that to you. Number two, don't romanticize them. When someone ghosts us, we often put them on a pedestal, thinking that they were amazing and we somehow are the ones that messed it up. And if you grew up in a household where love was very much conditional, where you were shamed for your real self when you needed to behave a certain way in order to get love from your parents, then you might overcorrect and overcompensate and think, "Oh, I need to change, I need to be better, I was too needy." Really ask yourself, do you really want to be with someone who disappears when things get real? Like, do you really want a guy who you showed a little bit of anxiety or neediness or whatever it was, and then he just like disappeared? He couldn't handle it. Nobody. It's an impossible standard to think that you can be on perfect behavior all the time. All that happened here was like things got a little rocky and he bailed because he couldn't handle it, or because he was like, I don't have the bandwidth for this. I don't know. I just don't know if I'm ready for a relationship right now. Whatever the case may be, that's all the information you need to focus on. You need to stop with the, I just wasn't good enough for him. No, that's not the problem here. He just couldn't meet you where you're at. And maybe you're just not a match. Not everyone's a match. Okay, number three, stop checking their social media. Don't do this to yourself. I know that urge to be like a masochist and to just check and who's he following? Oh my God, he's following a new girl. Is he dating a new girl? Maybe that's why he ghosted me. Maybe he has a new girlfriend. You need to mute, unfollow, block, do what you need to do to protect your peace. Also, I don't know why this is, but on the dating apps, so many of my clients have had this experience of being ghosted and then seeing their ghoster again on the dating apps. Like, isn't there some sort of feature or function where they can like make it so you never see this person again? I had one client who this guy ghosted her. It took her so long to get past this. She ran into him on a dating app. Then they hung out again. Of course, she didn't tell me about this. She told me after the fact because obviously I would not approve of this whatsoever. Then they started up a little bit and then he ghosted her again, a double dose of ghosting. I actually know a few people this has happened to. Double dose of ghosting. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Okay. If you see him on the apps, maybe take a break from the apps. Just scroll right on by, give it a no, do whatever you have to do to like make sure you just do not see this person anymore. Number four, shift your focus inward. Instead of asking why they ghosted, ask, what does this experience teach me about my self worth? Or how can I use this as a stepping stone to grow? Because all the painful experiences we have in life really do take us to a better place in the end. I know at the time it feels like the worst possible thing that can happen, but if you look back on the character traits that you love the most about yourself, they probably were developed through the hard times that you've been through, right? Just think about it. Number five, remind yourself that rejection is just redirection, right? We've all heard this one before, but it's true. It's true. If they ghosted, they removed themselves from your life, and that is a gift. It is not a punishment. It is not a bad thing for somebody who's not meant to be in your life to no longer be in your life. That's a great thing. The right person will not disappear. The right person for you will be in it and committed and want to be there. Okay. So those are some practical steps. Now let's actually look at the science of attachment and why ghosting feels like withdrawal. Because a lot of, I remember having this experience and I see it with a lot of my clients is they feel so ashamed for being upset about the fact that about this guy, especially if it was like only a handful of dates, they weren't together that long and he ghosted. They're like, I feel so stupid about this, but you should not. And this is the reason why. Ghosting doesn't just affect us emotionally, it triggers a biological reaction. When you're connecting with someone, your brain releases dopamine and oxytocin, the chemicals of bonding and pleasure. And when they suddenly disappear, your brain experiences withdrawal, just like a junkie, right? This is why you feel anxious. This is why you obsessively check your phone to see if you're going to hear from them. You replay your last conversation. Your brain is literally searching for that missing connection. So, this is why it is so painful, especially if you latched on too soon, especially if you have the obsession and the limerence going on, especially if it was a trauma bond type of relationship where a guy was wishy washy with you, but then he came to you and then he was like really into you, but then he pulled away and then he withdrew. And you became hooked on that intermittent reward cycle, on those hits of dopamine. Yes, you are going to feel completely out of whack. Your nervous system is going to be completely dysregulated. So what's the solution? Rewire your brain. Yes, just as simple as that. The fastest way to heal is to fill your life with new experiences. Exercise, especially new exercise class, especially dance. Dance is a great thing to do. Friendships, creativity, travel. Your brain needs new dopamine sources to stop craving the ghoster. And all of these things are healthy sources of dopamine. That's what you want. Healthy sources of dopamine. No more quick fixes, no doom scrolling. You want to focus on real connection. You want to focus on really getting in touch with other people and also with yourself. So if you're currently in the midst of a ghoster withdrawal, here's a journal prompt for you. What are 3 things I can do this week that bring me joy and fulfillment outside of dating? Okay, really think about that. And finally, let's talk about how to build emotional resilience after being ghosted. Number 1, make a promise to yourself, no more chasing people who don't choose you. If someone disappears, let them, right? Let them. Your energy is too valuable. Or what did Taylor Swift say? Like, it's too expensive. I should have pulled up that quote. You guys know what I'm talking about. You don't have to prove your worth to anyone. And if you are in that cycle of trying to prove yourself as good enough, you need to look at where that's coming from, because it's not anything to do with this person. It's coming from a feeling that you have within yourself. And that's what needs to be addressed. Number 2, reframe ghosting as a test of your self-worth. This isn't some great karmic injustice. It's not something terrible that happened to you. It's something that tested your resilience. That's all that happened here. And every time you let go of someone who disrespected you, you show yourself, you prove to yourself, to the world, that you value yourself. And this is how you strengthen yourself and build yourself up. Number 3, strengthen your ability to trust yourself. One of the hardest parts about being ghosted is that it makes you doubt yourself, because you're like, I thought we had something here. I thought that this potentially could be my person. Like, how was I so blind? How did I not even realize that they were not on the same page at all? So instead of asking, how did I not see this coming? Ask, what did I learn from this so that I can recognize red flags sooner next time? Okay. Number 4, focus on abundance, not scarcity. One person ghosting you does not mean that love is not coming. It does not mean that every guy that you like is going to ghost you. It does not mean that he was the only man out there for you and he's gone and you're never going to find anyone. Like, the fact that he's not here is proof enough that he's not your guy. There are so many people out there and so many people for you to meet. This person was just a lesson, not a destination. Ghosting is painful, and I know that it's so painful, but this is also a really powerful opportunity to strengthen your self-worth and your emotional resilience and your ability to detach from what doesn't serve you. And if you can see it through that lens, you'll become better. If you instead take the other road and go down that line of thinking of, I just wasn't good enough, you're going to suffer, and you're only going to bring more suffering upon yourself. So this is your choice. This is your choice to make. If someone ghosted you, they did you a favor, mentally send them a thank you note, move forward, detach. Okay. I hope this was helpful. If so, please rate, review. I can't tell you how much it helps me. And definitely get my new book, Detached: How to Let Go, Heal, and Become Irresistible. If you struggle with getting too attached, if you struggle with moving on, if you struggle with self-worth, if you struggle with self-sabotage, this is the book that will heal you. And I can say this now. I mean, I had a hunch, and that's what I felt about the book before it came out. But now that it's out and I see the effect that it's having on so many women, I can say that confidently now. If you read it, you take it in, and you internalize all the exercise, and you really implement, not internalize, internalize all the words, implement all the exercises into your life, you will change and you will be a completely different person. You will be the person you've always wanted to be. Okay. So check that out. If you've already read it, please leave me an Amazon review. Can't even tell you how helpful, how important these things are. Thank you so much for being here. I always appreciate your feedback. You can leave a comment. You can send me an email, Sabrina@sabrinabenzori.com. And I will see you guys next time.